This discussion thus brings us to some possible conclusions. One needs only a limited amount of money to meet one's needs. No amount of money can meet all of one's wants at all times. We can also conclude that in practice, limited time to live will limit one's wants in real life, even if the money were unlimited. Thus, any rational human being must know that salting away a huge amount of wealth or working towards that at the expense of other important things in life is really meaningless. Why then do people always desire more and more money, generally considering, funnily enough, everything else meaningless? To arrange for their great grandchildren's pensions, could it be? Of course, in our minds, we are not after huge things. We want only the next raise, increment, or the next promotion, or the next deal. But guess what? Every single one of these gains is followed by the desire for the next one. I have still to find a corporate warrior who will tell me that the business is good enough, or that I do not need any raise this year, or never mind, promote everyone else in the department. I do not need a promotion to happily work for you. Let us try to hypothesize. People have this unlimited desire for money in order to gain greater social esteem, or in other words, accumulative power. For esteem is dependent upon your relative placement in your social group. It has little to do with your absolute wealth. Thus, as some raise the bar, others feel constrained to meet and exceed the bar. But then, should they never ask themselves if they should at all be playing a game with shifting goalposts? A game designed to make people lose instead of making them win. Of course, other than that desire for power, human beings do use money to meet their economic needs and other economic wants, neither of which, as we found in practice, require limitless amounts of money. However, we cannot ignore the ongoing loss of peace and the ecological disaster that we have unleashed. I believe that the primary reason for that is this misplaced game playing by us. Is there a better game that exists, which is designed for making the players win, not lose? Let us compare the endeavors of trying to gain esteem via the power of accumulation versus trying to do so via the power of knowledge and wisdom. A fortune accumulated in the form of monetary or any other resource equivalent riches can be lost for a variety of reasons earlier outlined. Wisdom is rarely lost. The former decreases when shared, for the dominant nature of accumulation is particular, while the latter increases when shared, for it exhibits something akin to a wave nature. Wisdom touches everyone. Wisdom impacts everyone. And the impact can even be retained by everyone that it comes in contact with. The accumulation game has to do with having more than what somebody else has, no matter what that somebody else has. The game here is win-lose, that is, a competitive one. Owing to that last quality, the accumulative power is difficult to increase, while the latter is easily increased, since the dominant culture in the game of knowledge and wisdom is cooperative. This game, of course, is designed to make all the players win, not only one or a few, at the cost of the rest, which is how the accumulative power game, perforce, is designed to be. Accumulation is often cyclical. There are good times and there are bad times. Increase in wisdom is largely linear. What is learned may be lost in some measure, but not completely, and most definitely not irretrievably. The wealth of money resides outside the owner, while that of knowledge resides inside the owner. This has fatal security-related consequences for the former, not the latter. For the wealth of wisdom is lost, generally, only with the life of the wise. Finally, accumulation is subject to the whims and fancies of the other powers, that is, the coercive and organizational/legislative powers. The power of wisdom works in a different space and is largely immune to the shenanigans of her more flamboyant sisters. So, if one were to tell the tale of the four sisters, guess which one I will bet on? But this text movie is not about me or my bets. It is about money. Money, as you will recall, we defined as a representation of potential economic need and want fulfillment. We tried to understand some of the various needs and wants that a typical human being has. We tried to understand their relationship to money. We came to a conclusion that the desire for more and more money really emanates from the human desire for power. We then looked at a possible option that we as individuals can pursue, which is likely a happier and more peaceful option to meet our desire for power. However, we still need money to meet our needs and those of our wants, which are hopefully fulfillable. Further, wise people play necessary but vulgar games below their station. Therefore, one does desire to be somewhat rich. So, then, how much money is required to actually become rich enough? We must ask, what exactly is being rich? Shall we try to define it? Is it earning, say, 1 million rupees per year, per month, per day? Or is it net worth of rupees, I don't know, 1 followed by some obscene number of zeros? Or is it merely having an income that is greater than one's expenses? My own bias lies with the last one. No matter how much you earn or own, it can prove to be insufficient if not spent responsibly. I do not really care to prove my point, for if you feel that I am wrong, you are welcome to gift me as large a sum as you dare do, and I will prove my point to you by frittering it away in a year's time. Well, that was about the upper bound of being rich enough. That does not exist. It is defined only by how responsible you are. What of the lower bound? We feel that as long as you can ensure an income that is greater than your actual expenses, you are rich. We will have upcoming text movies that will address this theme in greater detail. Keep a lookout for those. But in the meantime, please do remember that Siddhartha Gautam owned and earned nothing from the age of 29, yet lived one of the greatest lives on earth for another half century. Our office boys will probably have lived approximately the same proportion of happy and sad moments as we will have at the end of our lives. Street dogs also manage to live lives. How is one to be certain that theirs are not worthier? And also ask of yourself, what exactly do I desire money for? Exactly how much and for what purpose? Let me share with you a famous saying that I heard from my elders. जो पूत हो सपूत तो क्यों धन संचय, जो पूत हो कपूत तो क्यों धन संचय. Figure out what that means. Isn't leaving money behind wasting that much life? Or is there nothing in my life to actually use my lifetime for? Ask yourself that. Am I then not living but merely wasting? What kind of power can I enjoy that is both more satisfying and more inalienable than accumulative power? Who is whose slave? I, my monies, or my money, mine? Finally, what do I think are your takeaways, including the homework, from this module? Understanding money, understanding why you want it, understanding its current relationship to you, and then deciding if you're happy with it, deciding if you're likely to be happy in future, deciding if it impacts the lives you love, deciding if any change is required, and finally, figure out if you need to educate yourself financially and become financially free. More on both these themes in the upcoming text movies. But before that, once more, hoping that we have achieved a reasonable wraparound on that definition, on that answer to the question that we started with. The question that is, what is money? Well, once again, money is a representation of potential economic need and want fulfillment